Gentlemen, I am your host, Gary Singh Gurewal from Los Angeles, California. Welcome to all our NRI Press Club team and our guests who like to talk on very hot topic, SB 553. Let me introduce our NRI Press Club team. Those people are participate all the time with the NRI Press Club under the umbrella of NRI Press Corporation. Harinder Chimaji, that is the lawyer from Windsor, Canada, from Toronto area. He is a lawyer and he also PhD in psychology. So he understands that everything what's happening here. And then I will come to know Pashara Singh Tilanji, architect, educationist, poet, a community activist from California. And then we have a Professor Vinod Gupta ji, physics professor or very, very highly educated in China or India. Sorry, all the time it is happening there. And then we can say Harpreet, he's a lawyer from Amritsar. Now he's settled in Riverside, California. Myself is Gary Singh Garewal. I'm an automotive engineer, used to be 30, 40 years. Now I'm settled in California. Jessica ji, let me confirm everything of our host from the top there. Harminder ji, can you tell yourself there? Harminder Singh ji, Dr. Saab.
Yeah, so this is Harminder. I have a PhD in biochemistry. So I have worked almost 25 years in USA, North America as a scientist in research and development of biopharmaceuticals. But I invested all my savings into a small business like gas station and retail business. So I am invested into just one business. So that's why I am impacted as an employer as well as business owner and the livelihood my family. So I have studied the bill only after it got passed in Senate, and then I became aware the impact of this bill. I studied the bill with the help of some educated people, and I am still learning. And so far, as of September 7th, 2023, the draft of the bill is very detrimental to small businesses and the employees as well as the community.
Thank you very much, Baljinder Singh ji.
Hello, everybody. This is Barjinder Singh. I'm a small business owner too. My background is I worked in medical device industry as a R&D engineer. Research and development is my passion. I still do some projects on that. I'm fighting for this. I'm in this fight because I want to answer some questions from my kids, like what's happening in the society when they see things around. And we left India for a better future here, and I see that word is following me here. Honestly, it's becoming a third word, actually worse than that. So if we don't fight, nobody is going to do it for us. That's why I'm here.
Okay. Thank you very much, ji. Kurosh ji. Kurosh sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Kurosh Sharak. I'm an attorney, practicing attorney in California. I'm also a small business owner. I'm owner of 3 small retail establishments. And what I'm seeing happen to these stores that were a great source of profit and joy for me to run, as opposed to the law firm where I deal with clients who are unfortunately in unhappy situations and need help. Instead, when I go to these stores, I see happy customers, people who enjoy shopping, who I can have conversations with, where it's now turned into a bit of a war zone in at least a couple of my stores, due to, I don't want to say police inaction, but due to the fact that I think the police feel like the moment they arrest someone, that person the same day is out on the street. My staff are constantly threatened. It is a horrible, horrible environment, not to mention the fact that we're now losing money and have been for the last year and a half, if not longer. And I'm in this fight because I think that there's some politicians who are trying to do something that means well, but without actually putting a lot of thought into the greater ramifications into what they're doing, and without actually giving thought to what some better solutions would be to the problems that we're facing.
Okay. Okay, thank you, ji. Jaskaran ji. So, Tasar. Jaskaran.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jaskaran Singh Sahota. Originally born and brought up in Punjab, India. I just came to pursue my American dream here. My background is I was a professional field hockey player back in India, and then played in Europe too for a while, in Germany actually. Then after coming to the United States, I got my degree in software. I was a software consultant for almost 15, 16 years, SAP security specialist, working with Fortune 500 companies. Then, as Harminder Singh Paji said, I put all my savings into business and just tried to be my own boss, which was pretty much wrong. You cannot be your own boss in this business. So, but again, I was so happy. Like, business is running well. I have multiple locations. Married with like 2 kids, and wife is happy, kids were happy, everything was going smooth until we see all this thing. Even though I live in far north side of California, we have not seen that much problem here yet, but yes, it's coming to our side too. And we see, like as Mr. Cruz said, it's going to be a war zone very soon if we do not take care of this. And if this bill SB553 get passed, politicians never they contact us, they consult us when they need votes and funding, but they haven't consulted any of us before they bring this new law or amending the existing laws without any talking to any of their voters. So we are all in the same boat now. I'm here. Thank you so much for your time, NRIpress, and thank you, Mr. Garewal.
Thank you. Lake Theraji.
Thank you for having me in there. I'm 7-Eleven Franchise Owners Association president, but that's just a little thing. I've been a franchisee for about 39 years. And during that time, we were able to grow into multiple businesses. Family grew into Subways and gas stations and truck stop and all that. The effect of these legislations lately is showing in the field. I'm firsthand in the field seeing that, in past 2 or 3 years, where we had 11 or 12 units, of just the convenience stores, we downsized to about 4 because the profitability disappeared. Where I used to pay for insurance, liability insurance, about $800 a year. Now it's about $22,000 to $24,000 a year. That's just the one location. And I see the SB553 is going to ruin the model much, much more deeper. I can see the workman's comp cases coming up. And when I read the definition of workplace violence, it defines so many different things and that we're liable for. And so that's where I am today. And we'll discuss further later on. But that's my background.
Okay, thank you, Ji. Let me start that today's hot topic. Actually, when I'm looking at everyday looting, I'm surprised. Why is it happening in California? This is very difficult to do with small scale business people. Anyway, let me come on the top here. Why new bill SY53 prevents employers from mandating workers to confront shoplifters? This one question comes. How much can thieves steal in California without going to jail? This is very surprised. Why cannot you stop shoplifters in California? This also comes that here. So I understand that they try to do good thing, but very bad things happen because they encourage the shoplifters. But I'm thinking that way. They are not thinking about store owners or those people have anything, they invest money. They don't care about that. They're just telling that, okay, you do this. Start with the Jaskaran Sotaji.
Can you make correction to the question first, Mr. Garewal's question, that it's not illegal to stop and all that. Make a slight correction to the question.
Yes.
SB553 doesn't stop us. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification, Harnik Paji. Once again, we appreciate your help, Mr. Garewal and NRIpress Club, for bringing us on one platform to talk to you guys, and then you guys can relate on your website, and everybody's going to see what's going on worldwide. SB553, I came to know about this bill. Actually, August 14th was the last day when they voted on this bill, so it well can go through from Senate, actually get passed from Senate. It requires employers to maintain, I mean, this is called a, workplace violence prevention bill. And when we see that workplace violence prevention, when you read that slogan, we thought, oh, okay, workplace violence prevention. So it is going to favor us. There will be no violence at work from like robbers or unethical, people who are performing unethical conduct at our store. I'm not going to use derogatory language like shoplifters or thieves or anything, even though I said that. But so we thought it's going to be it's going to support us in our favor. But after reading this bill, even though some of our team members, Harminder Paji, Barjinder Singh, Harnek Paji, we went to see every single member of appropriation committee in Sacramento, 16 of them. And we met some of them, we met some of their staff, and none of them, I would say none of them, read this bill all the way, thoroughly. They said no, yes. So, I mean, it was very unfortunate. They do not even know what this bill is all about, what's written in there. And they are our legislators, they are our lawmakers. So that means law is being written or amended from existing laws and bringing into public, just bringing it to us like, hey, you got to follow these rules, maintain a violent incident log and post-incident investigation. What happens if my own employee, he is home, he got a call, he sees some violent acts like I'm grabbing, shoplifting, and window smashing, anything. Oh, I saw that, and I get stressed. If I go to work, I'm going to go through this stuff again, and I cannot come to work. And right now, I need some kind of help. Same thing as if my store or anybody's store gets robbed, we have to check with our employees, how do you feel? We consult with the workman's comp guys. We give our employees like any kind of counsel he needs. We have to help them out so they are doing great. So this law will put more burden on us to maintain all those logs, small incidents. And on top of that, as Mr. Cruz said, we are not going to discuss about Prop 47, but that thing is already giving leverage to shoplifters or thieves. They can grab up to $950 worth merchandise, and that's considered misdemeanor if they get caught. On top of that, we cannot, according to this SB 553, we cannot confront shoplifters. They can grab whatever they want. They have to leave. And we can't even stop them. Hey, you have to pay because of Prop 47 now. And if any of my employee confront, if employee tell, down the road, they say okay, my owner or my boss asked me to, hey, any shoplifter, you need to ask them to, hey, you need to pay for this. If I say that, they can go to any lawyer and, hey, my employer is asking me to ask shoplifters to pay for the stuff they're trying to take from the store. And that gave him some kind of stress, and he cannot work anymore right now. Now I have to hire a lawyer and deal with that stuff too. So main thing, rather than putting burden on criminals, it's going to put more burden on employers to deal with this kind of dilemma. And going forward, on this thing, this bill was written by OSHA for healthcare. Strictly, this is written for healthcare employees, healthcare facilities, how to treat, how to deal with patients if they are going through any kind of tough timing and they're being angry or anything. The store owners, convenience stores, we do not have employees who are being trained for 6-7 years in colleges, universities, how to deal with all that stuff. Nobody with a law degree or like an MBA or anything work like for 16, 17, 18 hours at a store. They are not educated well enough, or they are not trained well enough to work on convenience stores. And again, hiring a security personnel to protect our place is totally out of question. We cannot do that thing. So it's going to be more burden. I'm going to leave some of the points for my colleagues, my fellow batchmates. Yeah. So
okay, let me come back. Okay, Harminder ji, that's all.
Yes, I think I agree with the intent of the lawmakers that they want to they want to protect the safety of the employees. However, they have created this bill in abstract without consulting the end users, who are the small business owners who provide the employment and the workspace to employees to work. And so I think the lawmakers, when they create the laws, there are other forces behind them. The lobbies, I see for this bill, the lobbies are probably the security companies, because this bill will force the employers to hire security personnel, trained personnel, to make sure the employees are protected, as well as probably also the cheap lawyers out there, because it will put litigation burden on small employers, so that we are not in violation any of this new bill and new codes. It has nothing to do with the employee safety, because the small business owners, we are not only the business owners, we are also self-employed owners. We are employees as well employers. We share the same workspace. Several workspaces are very similar for our employees and ourselves. Our family members sometimes, they also work there. So we are the one who know what safety is and how we can be protected. But I think my opinion is the lawmakers only see half the picture, or you can see they only see one side of the coin, that by sitting in the air-conditioned offices and consulting or with the lobbyist, they can write something with a sweet language and hoping that it will prevent crime and it will protect the safety of employees. This bill definitely will not create the safety of the employees. It will put the law enforcement responsibility on the employers. And in my opinion, that should be a responsibility of the law enforcement, not the shop owners. So the language is very sweet, cool. If you give it to anybody who does not have a business, any person, they said there is nothing wrong with this law. So that's how the lawmakers deal with it. And as Jaskaran mentioned, I have seen all 16 lawmakers of the Appropriation Committee in the Assembly. Personally, we requested meetings. We went to their offices. None of the Assembly members, they knew anything about this law except the name SB553 and workspace violence prevention law. None of them knew. They just vote yes or no blindly. Only 2 lawmakers with whom we had the opportunity by chance to talk, they discussed, they listened to our concerns, and both of them, they abstained from voting. They did not send their vote to the in the Appropriation Committee. They were present at the time of the voting, but they did not cast their votes. So my opinion is, if the lawmakers care to listen to their constituents, their employment providers, taxpayers, this bill can be modified and adapted to prevent crime. But they are, I would say, they are very ignorant. They just put blind stamp on this law. So that's why we are suffering the consequences and deterioration of society.
Thank you. Okay, Krosh Saab, Krosh, Mr. Krosh.
Thank you, Mr. Gruwal. And thank you, fellow members, for your input. It's very hard to say any disagreement with what has been already talked about. In fact, I think what everyone said echoes my sentiments, but I'll take this a few steps further for you to consider. The purpose behind this law, Mr. Cortese brought this law because he was concerned about a workplace shooting where a bunch of people died unnecessarily. That was the impetus for this law. And in those kind of an environment, I think they could have drafted a law to make workplaces safer, etc., without having to have had the additional language that they put in to basically burden small businesses with things that just simply do not happen in our businesses. We don't have, on average, employees, retail employees who go crazy and start shooting up our stores and killing our fellow retailers or employees. That just doesn't happen. We don't have that type of environment to necessitate this type of a law. And instead, what Mr. Cortese has done is he's assumed that by having this blanket legislation put in, that somehow or another he's going to prevent workplace violence between employees in the retail establishment, which is the furthest thing that we need to worry about in this law. And what he has also done is created burdens on our small businesses to not just do law enforcement's job, okay, but to actually punish us if we don't keep track of violent incident logs, etc., to which there is a great deal of question begging as to what exactly are violent incidents. The store that I own in North Hollywood, I think I would have to probably put in 10 to 20 violent incidents a day, just simply based on the type of language that some of our homeless or drug-induced or mentally challenged customers, if I can even call them that, impose upon our employees. And then if we don't, we get fined. This is ridiculous to me. This is an overreach that must be addressed. And it is not addressed at all. In fact, it seems like the legislature is doubling down. And what I just heard from my fellow presenters is that, and it's actually quite sad and scary, is that none of the legislators have even read this bill. Let me take if I have a couple of seconds, something for you to consider. Some of the well-meaning parts of this bill. One is referred to as the temporary restraining order section of this bill, where now an employer may start a temporary restraining order procedure for one of their employees against someone who's been harassing them at work. This is very well-meaning. Okay, it's made it easier for myself if someone is harassing one of my employees at work or has threatened them, which basically comes out to what, 10 or 12 people a day, to have the option of applying for a temporary restraining order against that person. Now, in my line of work, if I somehow successfully get a temporary restraining order, which has a huge, huge legal burden to prove, you don't just go to court and get a temporary restraining order. You have to prove to the judge that this person is a threat. If my employee is able to get that through my help, what do you think that person's going to do with that piece of paper? If they're going to follow the law, they're just going to go to the next store. They don't care about my employee. Mm-hmm. My employee is a cardboard cutout as far as they're concerned. a means to an end, someone that might be getting in the way of taking things from my store illegally. But I'll tell you what the biggest problem I have with this legislation is, just on this most well-meaning thing, is the word may is used. And in law, words matter. So when you have a word like shall or must, that means the employer has to do it. When you have the word may, an employer may apply for a temporary restraining order. What that does is it gives the employer a choice at this point in time. And if the employer decides not to take that step, there are very well-meaning employees out there, but then there are some who may not be. And they may look at a workers' comp action, may look at other avenues for now suing the employer for not having taken that choice. And that is a burden that has been cast upon us in, like I said, the most well-meaning part of this legislation. And to me, these are the kind of things that we need to be telling our legislatures, that by doing this, by just having this law, forget about the stuff that creates undue burdens on us, such as stopping shoplifters or not stopping shoplifters. When you put in legislation that says we have a choice to do something, and if we choose not to do it, we are literally under the gun at that point in time. So I have many other things that I'd like to talk about as well about these bills, but I will turn it to you, Mr. Grewal.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Barjinder Singh.
I think pretty much everything has been said, and I agree with every single one of them. I just want to go to your question, and Mr. Haneke, he pointed out something that we need to correct, because I have heard that statement many, many times, and we corrected a lot of people there. The question, if I'm understanding it correctly, it was asked why SB553 prevents employer from mandating workers to confront shoplifter. Okay, so first of all, it doesn't stop me. It doesn't stop anybody to confront. It gives, I have full authority to confront as an employer. I'm the owner of the property. It's a private property or whatever. I can confront. And in the Second Amendment or amendment that they did, 824, they took that language specifically out, that an employer cannot instruct employee to confront the shoplifter. So they took that language out too. So let's be clear, we're not saying that that's what this bill is about. But what's Mr. Karush said, that you got to understand the effect of what the language is. I'm reading, there are like 10 different points that bill has under the plan that we are required to do. The plan of eliminating the hazard, the violence hazard that they call in this bill. Every single one of starts with the word effective. Effective plan of eliminating the hazard, which that means is if a hazard is not eliminated, it's not effective. I have to come back and revisit my plan and redo some and change things so that the plan is effective. So what's an effective plan for a shoplifter? What do I do? The only thing the effective is going to be is a security guard that can stop somebody. If I tell my employee to stop shoplifters, he's going to claim that he's stressed out. And stress is another violence, another hazard that I need to eliminate based on this. So it's a spiral web that I can, as an employer, I can never get out of it. So they took out the language, they took out the straight language, but they put it in a paragraphs. They made it so complicated that the ultimate meaning of that thing is the same. I cannot instruct my employees to confront anybody there. So your question is right and wrong. And the answer is going to stay the same. And the effects are same.
Okay. Thank you, Brijinder. Paul, I will come to you after the first. Let me take a Harek Chara, please. Harek, then Paul. Kelly. Mr. Harek Chara. Can you? Okay, go ahead.
Anji, I will take the economical impact of the bill. First, going back to what Cruz said about the restraining order, how do I or my employees can pull a restraining order on a shoplifter? We don't know where they live, and we don't know when they're going to show up. So that part, the restraining order will be a difficult in a small retail businesses at this time. The economical impact of the bill already, the perception, bill just started, the perception out there, it was already rumor in the communities that these retailers cannot stop anybody. First, like to crack that, there is a punishment up to $950, but it's not a severe punishment. It's only the misdemeanor. And for those things, the police usually does not show up to take a report. They said if you needed one for your insurance purposes, we can do it online, or you can come to the station to do it, unless somebody's hurt and all that. So going back to the economical impact on the retailers of this legislation, it opened up, there's a whole paragraph on what type of violence that can happen that we supposed to protect our employees against. That violence could be through text messages, to a digital media post, a news, or any rumor, or any way that employee can think that they've been affected by it. And the things that they might claim against is psychological trauma, stress, and multiple. There's a whole paragraph on it that things that they can consider. There's no way that we can sustain our workman comp's insurance, employee insurance, to provide the liability to us to cover the employee injuries, because those injuries are not physical. And so it's going to impact dearly the retail industry, and it already is. On the shoplifting part, it already is affecting dearly. Even today, the Northridge Mall was invaded by a group of robbers. There's daily multiple incidents only in Southern California. So there's a big economical impact that this bill is bringing to us. So we need to stop it. And there's a further, but we'll have a Paul later to discuss. There's further damage on it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Paul Kelly. Paul?
Yeah, so it sounds very much like you guys are hitting on the point. I'm joining a little late, but I will tell you, I spoke with healthcare industry people that I know who have had this same language in place on them. And he said that they run a call center for healthcare. That call center for healthcare, it costed him $300,000 just to do the training that was required. Then he said if anybody made any kind of verbal abuse or said anything to anyone else, like, hey, you suck, or anything, that automatically had to be logged. And just the logging requirements on it was just massive. And that it was such a problem for them that they were like, they're like, this is a huge endeavor. And you're asking small mom and pops to try and do this. I don't understand how they're even going to be able to, I don't understand how even they're going to police it from a small, this many locations type of thing. If it's large businesses, they can come in and they can send their inspectors and they can do stuff. But for small mom and pops, if they're going to come in, and it's just an excuse for lawsuits, really.
Okay, that's all. Okay, thank you. Now let me call to Pashara Singh. Only try to give a very small question they can be give answer. You can be call anybody for that, for answer for that. Pushara Singh, Dylan.
I think